So now the pressure's on, guys.
Uh-oh.
So is this all we're getting out of Tom?
All right, I'll fucking break the silence. No, what's happening, Billy Bob?
Oh, rocking.
Monty, good afternoon, Monty. Good afternoon, Patrick.
Afternoon, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Jordan,
What's up, buddy?
good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So you guys had just spent, like you said, 2 weeks together. You guys having separation anxiety right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say yeah. We usually
Always.
see each other a lot, whether we're playing or not, but we haven't seen each other at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, just on the social medias.
Word. So I don't know if any of you guys caught any of my interviews yet. I don't know how I'm gonna go about this having all of you here. Usually I'll pick one person and then go over their discography, but you all are here. And Patrick, I'm just confused about anything that you have done previous to this project because you don't have anything posted up that I could easily hunt down. Because for some reason, when I search Patrick Sullivan, you're not the only person that pops up.
Yeah. It's like the Joe Smith of Irish names.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna kind of wing it. I'm gonna kind of wing it. I got notes for all of this. Uh, so let's just start it off like this. How do y'all get into music?
Monty.
Well, yeah, Monty.
How did I get into music? I think probably the same way everybody, it's like when I was young, music spoke to me, and the first bands that I heard like Aerosmith and Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, those bands, I mean, I got into music and I'm older than Pat and Jordan, but in the 70s, I heard Aerosmith rocks and Zeppelin and Sabbath, and I was just like, damn, this stuff just speaks to me. You know what I mean? It just moves me. And then when I found out about punk rock in like the late 70s, early 80s, that music really spoke to me and really moved me, and then I've always been pretty musical, and I picked up a bass and learned how to play bass. Like second song I learned, first song was Smoke on the Water, and second song was Shut Down by The Germs. Yeah, just I don't know if anybody else wants to weigh in.
Well, I've been around music my whole life. Both my parents are musicians. My mom used to play in the church. My dad was in a bunch of bands and always played everywhere around the city. So I was around it my whole life. So I just naturally, I guess, did the same thing. Yeah.
Same thing with me. My dad plays music, so anytime he needed a drummer or a bass player or whatever he needed, that's what I would learn, right?
Yeah, he does play
So-
everything. He plays everything.
But it taught me a bunch of different types of music. And then my older sister brought in like Bad Religion and Black Flag and stuff pretty early. So that's where I was like, okay, that stuff, that's what I like.
Word. Tom?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on what Patrick said. My sisters, I got a couple older sisters, and they used to fucking run around the house playing all kinds of crazy music. And it went from the house into the car, into the basement, and they'd have basement parties, and that's kind of where I first had my first kiss with a couple of their friends. We used to make out to all kinds of crazy music. Yeah, friends just kind of turned us on to hardcore music, punk, and just kind of grew from there. So
Word. That's fucking awesome. That's awesome. How'd you first find yourself getting into bands? Like you're like this is what I am gonna pursue.
With punk rock, it's like you have to, right?
Yeah.
If you can play, or even if you can't, like you want to do it. You go to
Yeah.
the shows, you want to be part of it, right? If you could play, you can't help it. You have to do it.
Yeah, I think it starts in high school for everybody, at least it did for me. Just once you're old enough to start doing that stuff, you just start doing it. That's what you love. And it's always like, oh wow, cool, you're in a band. Then you get a little older and it's like, well, you're still in a band. Then you're older and you're like, oh, you're still in a band. This is,
Is that where we are now?
yeah, still rocking.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Nothing gets me going like a good cup of joe. Mix a little chocolate and it's off to work I go. I'm so grateful, got my head on straight. I'm so grateful, got my head on straight. I'm so
Let's I'm gonna focus on Monty and Tom here for a second, if you don't mind, Patrick and Jordan.
Please do.
Word. So how did you first decide to start Dead Fucking Last?
I guess I'll try to tackle that. I guess like early 90s was just this, I told the story a couple times. But the early 90s I was listening to a lot to this one. I got like a cassette, I had like a Walkman and I was listening to the How Could Hell Be Any Worse cassette like over and over again, and I had like a pretty job and was, on the bus and stuff. Um and yeah, and I just started listening to it. And then I just, I have a guitar. I was in another band in the early 80s called the Adams. And so I had a guitar from back then. And so I just started writing kind of hardcore songs that were inspired by that early 80s punk sound, Bad Religion, first one. Um, uh, early adolescence, early Black Flag, Circle Jerks, that kind of stuff, fast, short, loud, mosh kind of songs. And at that time, the Beastie Boys were living in Silver Lake and Echo Park, and I lived in Echo Park, and became friends with the Beasties through a childhood friend of mine, Ione Sky, who had married one of them, and so I was hanging out with Adam Horovitz, and and stuff was going on. Tom was around as well. His sister was married to Mike D, and it was just like a whole scene, and and yeah, I just hit up Adam one day and said, "Hey, I've written some punk songs, some hardcore songs. You want to check them out?" And we went over to G Sun, and I played them, and I was like, "You want to start a band?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I came up with the name DFL, and I think Adam suggested Tom, even though Tom and I know each other from probably like the late 70s because we used to skateboard together, as kids, back at the Marina Skate Park. But got Tom, we got, I think Max Perlick played drums at some point. I think Mike D played drums at some point. I don't know how we got Tony Converse. Do you remember Tom?
Not exactly. Shit, man. Things are so fuzzy back then. We smoked so much weed. We were so zooted up all the time. But I believe Adam was. We would always just kind of jam in the studio. So Max would play drums, and then Adam suggested, man, wouldn't it be fun or different and cool if we had two singers, two like hardcore singers that would run around back and forth. There's not really anything like that. And I was like, yeah. So we went ahead and kind of wrote some shit out, and then every time it was time for Max Perlick to sing, he would always like disappear. He would like, oh, I'll be right back. I gotta go roll a joint. I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta move my car. So then I was just kind of like looking at Adam and Monty or whatever, and they'd just be like, "You just do it, Tom. Max isn't coming back." So it was sort of just like fell into my lap. I never wanted to sing in the band. I had opportunities to sing in other bands growing up, and I was always super shy. Believe it or not, I feel super naked up there. Um, in front of people. So it's it. I have a really hard time if there's no guitar and no drums or bass, and I'm just standing there. I'm completely fish out of water. So once everybody's tuned up and plugged in, and then all of a sudden there's this noise, then all of a sudden the beast comes out of me, and then it's just comes natural. Um, and hardcore comes natural because that's what we grew up on, listening and watching and going to backyard parties and going to clubs. Me and Monty went to a lot of those clubs back in the early days, and all the bands he suggested he wanted to imitate or pay homage to. We were also just going to those shows. So it kind of blows people away to tell them like we've seen every Black Flag singer. We saw the original. We saw the Germs. We went to the Adolescent show. We knew people in Huntington Beach. Went to early. So like we just pay. It was just sort of a given that in the '90s we would sort of throw up and give it back to what we learned. And I'm so happy that I was at the right place at the right time with everybody at that point. We've had some other drummers. We had Tony Converse playing drums, which was real fun in the band. And he was really centric and really really intense to grow up with. Patrick and Jordan have been some of the best guys we've ever toured with and played with. Um, like we go in there and try to write songs, and those guys just know the songs already. Patrick just picks it up, and Patrick and Jordan just have been playing along for a long time, and they could tell each other what to do by just looking at each other. And Patrick gives them these eyes, and Jordan's like looks over at me, and I'm like, just you better do it too. You better. Um, and it's been real fun to just play these songs from the original songs, and now we have a bunch of new songs. Um, and yeah, I miss the guys lately right now because we haven't talked, or well, we've talked to social media and Instagram and texting. We have a group chat in our Facebook app that we talk talk to each other often in that. But yeah, we had a good time in Germany, but we've just sort of been laying low for a little while.
Word, word.
When you said about practicing, I still geek out all the time asking Monty and Tom, like, hey, do you guys ever do this or ever see? And I'll listen to that for hours. That's one of my favorite parts of practice. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I got a question for you, Monty. The Adams has been brought up several times, but when I tried to do any kind of Google search, very little popped up. I have no clue what the Adams sound like. There was something that was released in '93, right? That highlighted that Izzy was in the band. But what was that band even like?
The Adams was, I guess it was like kind of like my like junkie period of my life. And so we were like really influenced by Johnny Thunders and I guess the Stooges and I guess to a certain extent the New York Dolls. And then you throw in like, the punk rock of the early 80s. I grew up in Hollywood, so it was kind of a Hollywood band. And well, and then the other guy who was in the band who I wrote songs with, Taz Rudd, he passed away a few years ago. He lived in South Pasadena, so we would go back and forth. But yeah, there's not a lot. We never recorded anything. That record that you're referencing, somebody, a friend of ours, Chris Trent, released it without telling anybody. I think he had a rehearsal practice. I mean, that's basically the best recordings we have are rehearsal practices on cassette. So he released it, and Izzy was the first drummer before he was in Guns N' Roses. He was Jeff Isabel, and he was a drummer. And and then he bailed on the Atoms to like get more into like the Sunset kind of hair rock scene. But the cool thing about yeah, so it's, you know, I don't know, if you listen to like any like early Johnny Thunders recordings, I think that's kind of where our heads were at. We played a lot in Hollywood, you know, with the Kathy DeGrand and Florentine Gardens and all over the place, you know. And there, I did put up an Instagram page, and interestingly, the Atoms have started playing again. So kind of during this downtime with DFL, I've hit up a couple guys that were like original members that are still alive, and so we've been practicing, and it's been fun. It's been fun. I'm like the singer in that band, so I'm like kind of like what Tom was saying, like up in front, you know, and feeling somewhat naked and trying to figure it out. But it's good. It's good. You know, who knows? Who knows what'll happen? You know, but it's a very obscure band, very very obscure underground punk band from Hollywood.
That
Can't wait. Show.
yeah, that's crazy that it's an active band again. It's an active band again. I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear it.
Oh, you know, one other cool thing about the Atoms was the woman who drew the Skanking Man for the Circle Jerks. Her name is Sean Carey. And Sean was a very close friend of mine back then. We did a lot of drugs together. And she drew a lot of flyers for the Atoms. So there are all these really amazing Sean Carey drawings. One of them, actually, I lent to the Punk Rock Museum for a flyer with like DOA and Atoms and China White.
I know what.
Yeah. So I lent that one to the Punk Rock Museum. So those are really rare because her original drawings from that time, they're just not a lot of them around. And plus she did these really cool logos for the Atoms. So
That's
that's
awesome.
cool.
Cool picture of you guys performing in the museum too.
Yeah. Yeah. Jennifer Finch took a picture of us from the Cafe de Grand, actually, I'm singing with the Atoms and Bobby Bratt from Red Scare, who's also passed away. So yep.
That's fucking awesome. That's awesome. That's great information. Like, I'm glad I asked that. Shit.
Yeah, maybe one day you could have the Atoms on your show.
That'd be fucking awesome.
Nobody's problem, no one even cares. He opened up his mind, everyone just stared. Everyone's not into, no one gives a shit. Why does everything always come down to this? Had a good time. Had a good time. Dealing with the trouble.
Let's see. You guys had broken up, but got back together in 2013. But it seemed like 2016 was a big year for you guys because you had recorded some songs that have recently that took a while. Why did it take several years for them to pop out? Because it said on the line that "Why Are You DFL" was recorded in 16-17, but didn't come out until 21.
You know, we shopped it around a lot, and I think, you know, it's just we stuck to our sound. You know, we play that old school hardcore sound, and I don't know, it just doesn't, you know. I'll say this, that you end up where you're supposed to end up. You know what I mean? So we knocked on a lot of doors, and for whatever reason, it's just not where we belonged. And then we knocked on the door for Sabam and in Europe, and that door opened up, and it seems like it's been a pretty good match for us. You know, they've got a great festival that we played a couple times in Europe, in Austria, and they're cool guys. You know, the guy from Sabam, Stefan, is really into like 90s punk rock and gets DFL, and he said yes right away. So when we hit him up about it, so you know, I think you end up where you're supposed to be. You know.
Yeah, there's a bunch of great bands on that label. Bunch of great bands on that label.
A lot of friends.
Word.
Every fucking night, we get a pizza. I want pepperoni, you want extra cheese. If you see that pizza man driving late at night, I know who you are, so get out, get out. Pizza man, pizza man, pizza man. Oh, pizza man, pizza man, pizza man.
You recently you also acquired in 2016 acquired the rights to My Crazy Life. How did that go down?
That was I found, you know, so by way of background, Grand Royal Records went bankrupt, I think in the late 90s, early 2000s, I think. I don't know. I ended up getting like some statements from them saying they were going bankrupt. And then some randos like bought their catalog in bankruptcy. Except for the Beastie Boys stuff, that all stayed with Capitol. But everything else they bought kind of in a package as from like I guess bankruptcy court or something. Anyway, I found that they had it. They set up a website called GR2, and they had it there. And I did a little research and I reached out to them and I said, hey, the Adams are back playing, and I'm not the Adams, sorry about that, guys. DFL is back playing, and DFL is back playing, and
Watch it.
watch it. The Family Dog was back playing. Just kidding. Sorry, I got drink some more coffee. Anyway, the DFL, the DFL was playing, and again, and I said, can I buy the masters? And they said, yeah, and they're really cool people. And they sold me the masters, and they also had not only the rights to the music, but they actually had the recordings, the actual recordings on Ampex tapes, 2-inch tape and then 1/4-inch tape, which is really cool because it's just to have that piece of history. And yeah, so they sold it to me, and then I shopped that around a little bit too. And you end up where you're supposed to end up. Knocked on some doors. People were kind of like not that into it, and then Trust Records came along and knocked on that door, and they were into it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I was glad to see that all remastered and released. I was also happy to see the 20th anniversary of Proud to Be had the flexi the 2 songs from the flexi disc on there. I was glad to see those pop back up.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think those are very rare. The flexi disc. It was in a magazine, I think in some skate magazine in the 90s, as kind of like a promotion for when Proud to Be first came out, and it was like unreleased songs. I think it was Decisions and I can't remember off the top of my head.
Follow the Leader.
Follow the Leader. And yeah, I have one copy of that flexi. I don't know if that's very rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was I think next year will be the 30th anniversary of the release for Proud to Be. So yeah. So hopefully we'll do something special.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Wasting so much fun, take a ribbon, then I'm done. Wasting so much fun. Wasting so much fun, take a ribbon, then I'm done. Wasting so much fun. Wasted. Wasted.
So Jordan, tell me about Full Offense.
Full Offense is a band with me and Pat are in. We've been together for a few years now. It's just a band with the homies. It's been really, really fun. So we just hardcore street punk band, and I don't know, yeah, we just have a lot of fun. But got a couple albums out. We just released one this year, Pat.
Yeah.
Earlier this year.
Played with Flag 13. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. We've been playing with some good names, playing with Litmus Green, and we're playing the LA Punk Invasion next year. That's going to be really fun. And yeah, it's just kind of kind of a love project that me and Pat had that just kind of grew,
I'm glad you finally called it that.
Yeah.
Hey, how come your name didn't pop up when I was doing the fucking research there, Pat? I didn't know you were in that band. That's what I'm saying.
Very secretive person.
You're a mystery to me, sir.
Yeah, he plays guitar in the band.
Yeah, yeah. See,
And that's killer job.
Together.
Yeah, like I said, he plays everything.
But yeah, I listened to those 2 releases, the Full Offense, the full length from 2022, and then Can't You See, the 8 songs from this year. They were both fucking badass.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
The last one was recorded by Eddie Voodoo, many voice calls.
It was cool because DFL recorded like 2 weeks later,
Yeah, yeah, it was really
and
cool.
Eddie's just a great dude.
Yeah,
Real easy to work with.
awesome person to work with. Yeah,
Yeah, I love Eddie. He's great. And Voodoo's always been like a big supporter of DFL.
Yeah.
Always just been in our corner.
And
yeah.
he
And then
was
our
stoked to do it too. That's what made it even better when Money hit up Eddie to record us. Like he was totally into it.
yeah,
So that made it really exciting, right?
yeah, awesome. And then our first album, Full Offense's first album, was recorded by Miguel from Total Chaos, plays drums Total Chaos. He recorded our first one in he has like a garage studio, and he always does an awesome job too.
He's a really nice guy. I've known him for a lot of years.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, you guys recently played with Total Chaos.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's Solaris. Is that Solaris?
Yeah.
What's it called?
I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was a fun show.
Yeah, love Total Chaos. I interviewed Rob back in January. Yeah,
Yeah, those guys are rad.
word.
They
Tom.
were on Epitaph the same time as DFL.
Yeah, they were all,
Rob was
what's
the one that was telling me that.
for the Patriotic Shock and what other one was on?
The one with Babylon was on Epitaph, wasn't it?
Yeah, fuck, I'm drawing a blank.
I can't remember the name of it either.
Let's see, it was Patriotic Shock and I got nothing. It's in my notes right here. I got notes on everybody. I got
This whole system fuck. This whole system fuck. This whole system fuck. This whole system.
So Tom, tell me about General fucking Principle. What's with
Yeah,
you fucking in the title of your band names?
I guess we're kind of well, let me see, where do I start? That name came up from Tony Alva. He played it for me. It was some lady that was having a prank, like a phone call to somebody else, and she kept saying, "That's the general fucking principle. You got to get off the singer, man. You got to do this." And so he was like, "Man, check this out, check this out." And so we just used that name, and Tony and I were kind of we were hanging around that summer, and kind of, just turned into doing some music, and that was a lot of fun. Um, we had several players. We ended up with Greg on guitar and AWOL playing drums, which turned into Joey. And I had this kid named Big Nick play bass and guitar. He ended up in DFL for a little while. General fucking Principal was playing a lot of shows. It was a given. All of a sudden, we were touring and going to Brazil and South America, Puerto Rico, and bands kind of picked us up, and we were playing some Vans parties and skate shows. It was really hard to book and stay on top of that band. Tony Alva was not really good about emailing and texting back and forth, so promoters were calling me and asking us if we could do these shows, and Tony couldn't call back or air his head for a couple of weeks. And by then the promoter said, "Oh, we already grabbed another band." And I was getting frustrated. But during those shows, a lot of the kids, a lot of the people were always, wanting to hear Pizza Man, and they were screaming up at me, let's screaming all kinds of stuff. And I just figured I should call Monty once this was kind of sizzling out. I was getting real frustrated in that band because it was an opportunity to continue and do big shows. At one point, I was even trying to fill Tony Alva's shoes with another pro skateboarder who ended up singing for Black Flag to play bass. But he wouldn't do it, and it was the same time that I was speaking with Monty, and we just kind of jumped back into DFL. I'm not sure if DFL and GFP were together at the same point. I think there was a little bit of an intersection of where it was happening. But it was fun. It was fun playing in a band with Greg. Greg was a childhood friend. I knew Greg from the Jerks, and it was fun because we did kind of reggae, Bad Brain style punk songs, and Tony was really into me and Tony have always been into roots and bass and drum reggae roots music. So it was funny watching Tony telling Greg how to play reggae, and it was like really funny to learn that. And Pat has been in a band with Amory Smith, AWOL, and he's super militant with his drumming and his band stuff. So the
That guy's
patience
so good though.
yeah, he's a machine. So every
Yeah.
band that he's in is like he demands the best from us. So the patience were wearing thin when Greg was playing or learning how to play reggae. But at the end, we were doing pretty good. And the best was getting Joey C in the drum after Amory. Amory quit the band when me and Amory couldn't get into. I don't know. We got stuck. We got stuck in Brazil. They went on to another part of South America, and went ahead and played other shows. They got different musicians to play drums, and a guy just kind of toast some reggae shit. When we got back, Amory just said, "I'm so mad. I'm gonna quit the band." And I was like, "Oh man, I get it. But I'm always fond of what I do, and I had forgiveness to Greg and Tony. Tony was like, "Fuck it. What do you think I'm gonna do, Tommy? The show must go on." We were there. The ladies were there. The fucking champagne was flowing, man. So I didn't hold it against him. Every time I run into Greg, Tony, or Joey, they're always like, "Hey man, when are we gonna jam fucking some GFP?" And I'm like, I don't know. Never say never, but there's a kid from SkaterCon who runs this SkaterCon named Adam. He was like, "Bro, I would give you guys $5,000 to play SkaterCon." I was like, all right, let me call the guys. So we're going to be playing SkaterCon 2028 SkaterCon. No, I'm just bullshitting.
You can play with the atoms. GFP and the atoms
Yeah,
play together.
only we can bring Full Offense with us. How come Full Offense and DFL aren't playing shows is what I want to know.
Let's get the family dog too.
Careful
I
with
can't stand up for that long in a row.
Yeah.
Full adult duty. No, you just bring out a chair. You'll be fine.
Rotating chair of players.
You recorded a new, is it a new full album?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me a bit about it.
There's a single out. That we just recorded. Turned out really, really good.
What's it called, Pat?
I'm gonna let Monty handle this because he does this part better.
I can't curse wherever he is.
No, you can curse all you want, man. My channel's never going to be monetized. I'm not worried.
Pat, the room where Pat is might be monetized. Yeah, so we recorded a bunch of songs with Eddie and with Mario C. So did the drums, guitar, bass with Eddie C from Voodoo, and then did some vocals and I think maybe a little more guitar. I can't remember with Mario Caldado Jr. At his house and yeah, and so I don't know, maybe 8 songs or 9 songs. I can't remember how many. And
I think 9.
9. And then we released a single over the summer through Sabam called Fuck It. And came out great. People liked it. It was a lot of fun to play it on the road and get everybody singing along with us. And yeah, and I think we're just wrapping up the mixes. I think we've got a little bit more work to do on that, and hopefully get it out sometime summer 2025 is probably the plan. So yeah, looks good. Looks good. Probably get it out on some BAM Records. Maybe find a partner here in the U.S. to work with. So we're knocking on some doors and thinking about that. But yeah, it's good. Yeah, and Pat wrote a few songs for the record. I wrote some music. Tom wrote vocals. It's good. It's just your classic DFL. Classic old school hardcore lo-fi stuff.
It comes across real hard. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, very fun to do. It was very fun. Very honored to be a part of it. It was good.
Yeah. And right now we're working with Fletcher from Pennywise and doing a remix of the song "Fuck It." So we'll see what happens, but hopefully we'll have like an alternate version come out at some point. That's like the Fletcher Draggy mix. So we hung out with him, and he like chopped it up and gave it some other kind of stuff, and I think we'll wrap it up. Working on it with him in the next few weeks, and have like a cool alternate mix. That Fletcher puts a stamp on.
That's fucking awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Tom and Fletcher go way back. They went to high school together in Hermosa, and with Jim and stuff. So they're old friends, and Pennywise has always been pretty cool to us, and so yeah, I think we connected with them again. We played with them in Europe, and it was a lot of fun to hang out with them in Prague and stuff.
Yeah, those guys are cool.
That was fun times.
Is there anything you think I feel I may be skipping over or missing that would add some value to this interview?
Guys,
Well, we could tell you the Condor story.
What's the Condor story? Curious.
oh man,
we were boarding the plane on our way to Germany, and trying to be the nicest fellas to everybody. Excuse me, how you doing? Walking in, putting our stuff through the plane and putting it up into the the top rafters, and then Monty's the last one to board. Me, Patton, and Jordan are all sitting next to each other. Here comes Monty. He's all smiles. He's got his backpack. He's got his lunchbox. He's got his thermos. And there's this grumpy old lady sitting right next to us. And Monty says, "Oh, excuse me," and he goes and puts his bag up into the top. What's that? The top part called?
The overhead
Compartment.
where you put your
Overhead compartment. So he goes up there and puts it up there, and he sees out of the corner of his eye is this thermos is starting to slip out of his hand, and it's filled to the top with ice cold coffee, like an iced coffee. And as it's slipping, I could see his face, and this thing just slammed this lady right in the forehead.
Yeah.
Boom! It was unbelievable. You could
It was that purpose.
like you could hear from the back of the plane to the front of
Right.
the first
It
class.
sounded like someone rung a bell. But luckily,
the
she's
lady-
really understanding.
Yeah, the lady freaked out, and I'm gonna have Jordan. Jordan does the lady's voice the best. Go ahead, Jordan.
do it. Oh my god!
At the top of her lungs over and over. And Monty's like the nicest dude. He's like, "Ma'am, I'm so sorry. Is there something I could get? You need to pay attention."
Pay attention.
Monty busts out his DFL credit card and tries to buy her something, and then he's like trying to hand her 20. She's like, "No, I don't need anything. No."
But
was
luckily,
unbelievable.
luckily, right after that, we had to fly with her right behind us for 13 hours. So
Lucky-
Yeah.
not too uncomfortable.
We could. That was so hard to like not laugh out loud. Even the stewardesses who sit right next, right by the wing, they were laughing. They would go. They would disappear and walk
Yeah.
away and just laugh. And man, those stewardesses were
I was
fine.
really
Jesus.
nervous they were gonna hold up the flight over it because she made a
Yeah.
really, really big deal.
Oh, I thought that
Ice.
she put her hand up to her head, and I thought for sure there was gonna be blood just gushing down. I mean, it hit her hard. I mean, it was an accident, but it hit
No, it
her
was like
like.
the look on Money's face was like
I
I
was
felt
just
like
like,
almost as bad for him. I was
and
So
it
we're,
just
we're,
went
we're
flying
thinking the
down.
name of the album might be Flight of the Condor.
Yeah,
We're not sure.
we were on Condor. That's why the Condor part of it. But yeah, I just whacked her right in the head, and I thought, oh shit, because we also had to connect. We had a connecting flight off of that one to go to Vienna, and so I thought we're gonna miss our connecting flight. They're gonna bring in a fucking ambulance and take her off, and I'm gonna get in trouble. And
It almost seemed like
fortunately,
big deal on it, but she didn't at the end.
what's that?
It almost seemed like she was gonna make a huge deal about it, but then she didn't.
Yeah,
So-
I think she was German. You know, Germany and Europe, they don't sue people like they do here. But I thought for sure I was gonna get sued or something. You know, or something was gonna happen. But she.
Yeah.
It-
oh, one thing that I want to mention is we're really lucky over there to have Flix and Hansa. Like that's who takes care of us really good over there. Our tour
Yeah.
manager Hansa, and then
Yeah.
Felix from Flix. Those guys are really, really rad.
Two of the best
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, a good old Hansa had to like hear this story over and over again. for
Oh,
3
the
weeks
whole
in
tour.
November.
It's lucky she wasn't on the connecting flight to Vienna.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Fucking good times.